All right, if you build anything with AI, you really need to hear this. Google just dropped an update for Gemini, and it completely overhauls how developers work with files. Seriously, it is a massive deal. So let's break down what's changed.
And crazy is, yeah, that's probably the right word for it. Around January 8th, 2026, Google rolled out a set of features that directly address some of the biggest, most annoying headaches developers have been facing, turning what used to be a data bottleneck into a total superhighway.
Because, let's be honest, before this update, working with large files in Gemini just felt like a chore. Anyone who's ever touched the old Files API knows exactly what I'm talking about. It was an absolute upload nightmare.
With the old API, you were stuck with this tiny 20 megabyte limit for files you sent directly. And even worse, any file you did manage to upload would just, poof, vanish after 48 hours. So imagine trying to build a real application where you have to constantly re-upload the same huge video file every single time you want to run a new prompt. It was inefficient and there was no way it was going to scale.
Well, thankfully, Google fixed all of that. They came in with 3 massive changes that directly solve these pain points. And these aren't just minor tweaks. They represent a total shift in how we can build with this thing.
First up, the file size limit for data you send directly in the API call has been boosted from 20 megabytes all the way up to 100. That's a 5-fold increase. And that is fantastic for rapid prototyping. You can now just drop in larger, high-res images, short video clips, or audio files to test things out without any pre-uploading. It just makes working with real-world data so much faster.
Second, and oh man, this is a big one, Gemini now supports external URLs. Now the key thing here is you no longer have to download a file to your own server first. You can just pass a public link or, a temporary private URL from a service like AWS S3 or Azure directly to Gemini, and it fetches the data securely on its own. This just removes a huge clunky step from the process.
And third, this is probably the most powerful update of them all. Deep integration with Google Cloud Storage, or GCS. The process is now incredibly simple. You upload your file to a GCS bucket once, and then you register it with Gemini. That's it. This gives you a persistent file URI that you can use over and over and over again. Today, tomorrow, next week. No more disappearing files. They're there to stay.
So, what does all of this actually mean when you put it all together? Well, it means we're seeing Gemini evolve from what was a pretty good prototyping tool into a truly enterprise-grade, production-ready solution.
Look, before this, the Files API was great for, kicking the tires on an idea, but those expiration times and upload limits made it a total non-starter for serious, scalable applications. Now, with GCS integration giving us persistence and URL support offering all this new flexibility, those barriers are just gone. You can now build robust, production-scale apps that can handle thousands of files reliably.
Okay, so this is where it gets really, really interesting. This update isn't just about convenience. It's about enabling entirely new, high-value workflows that were just too clunky to even attempt before. So picture this. You take your raw video footage, you upload it to GCS one time, register it, and that's it. Now you can run dozens of different prompts on that same exact file without ever re-uploading. You can ask Gemini to generate chapter markers for a long video, pull out the most powerful quotes, or even create descriptions for social media clips, all from that single, persistent source file. It's a game changer. And this extends to documents and audio too. Imagine you need to analyze, say, 10,000 PDF invoices. You just drop them in a GCS bucket and set Gemini to work. Or how about this? You can analyze an entire archive of customer support calls to find common issues or measure sentiment. These kinds of tasks were so clunky and expensive before. Now they're streamlined and super efficient.
But, maybe the most exciting part of this whole update is how it democratizes this really powerful AI. It basically levels the playing field, making these sophisticated tools accessible to pretty much everyone.
And that's really the bottom line here. Previously, to handle large files at scale, you needed a complex back-end with storage servers, upload managers, expiration trackers, the whole shebang. And now, you just need a GCS bucket and a few lines of code. This removes so much friction, letting solo entrepreneurs and small agencies build the same kind of powerful automation tools that were once only available to huge companies.
All right, for all of you ready to jump in and start building, just a couple of quick technical things to remember. First, make sure you're using the latest version of the Google GNA SDK to get access to all these new features. And second, you'll need to configure your IAM permissions so that Gemini has read access to your GCS bucket. It's a pretty straightforward setup, and the official docs have a really clear walkthrough.
So this update, it's not just about making existing tasks a little bit easier. It's about opening the door for ideas that were just impractical before. It removes the friction and lets you focus on creating value, not on managing infrastructure. So the real question I have for you is, now that these huge barriers are just gone, what are you going to build?